Hello there, all of you very beautiful people of the interwebs. My name is Daniel. You're watching the review of the latest Panic! At the Disco album, and this is Music Time. So for those of you who don't know, Music Time is the time in which I talk about music, and this week I will be discussing Panic! At the Disco's latest album, titled Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. And before we really get into it, I just want to say that I am a Panic! At the Disco fan. And I really loved their first three albums. Probably the first two the most, after the band split ways, like half of them. And it wasn't as good, but Vices and Virtues is still a great album. And that's why I was excited when I heard that they were releasing a new album called Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. And then they released a track called Miss Jackson, and I listened to it, and I'm like, this is good, I like it. It's got, it sounds different than previous Panic stuff, but it actually does sound like Panic, not Panic! At the Disco, just Panic, Paranoia, someone's freaking out. It's great, it's great, it's great, I love it! I loved that song. It was a great song. I had strong feelings for it. Maybe I didn't love it. Not time to commit. Anyways, and then later on they released a track called This Is Gospel, which I thought it felt a bit too generic and a bit electronic-y, but it's still a good song with a very cool music video. I was a fan of that. Those two songs, I was looking forward to the album. And then, and then the album, by the way, starts off with This Is Gospel and Miss Jackson, which, by the way, Miss Gospel is a great song to open a track with, and the final track, The End of All Things, is a good closing track, so you get bonus points for having those. So that's a plus, that's a positive, that's a, yeah, good job. Now, unfortunately, though, there are more than 2 tracks on the album, and the other 8 really aren't that great. The other 8 aren't that great. Sorry, I just felt like singing. Anyway, so after Miss Jackson comes Vegas Lights, which when I heard it, I'm like, oh, this song isn't that great. It's got this dance beat going to it. It sounds very electronic-y, like synthesized, mixed around on the computers. His voice is altered by machinery, it sounds like. And I'm like, oh, this is a bad track, But I'm sure the next one will be better. It really wasn't. It's the entire album, aside from, Miss Jackson does it the least. But basically the entire album is electronic-y music, and there's a beat, and his voice is a bit different, and sounds auto-tuned. Which I'm not saying necessarily is a bad thing in most cases, but that is not Panic! At the Disco. And I know some people are like, oh, hey, Dan, why are you freaking out? Panic! At the Disco, all their albums sounded a bit different from each other. Yeah, they did. But they actually sounded like a real band, not something someone mixed together, with, some, some digital voice. It doesn't sound digital, but they really overused the dance beat. Every last song, essentially, has a dance beat. And the singer, he's a good singer. I enjoy his voice. Just not so much on this album, because on this album, his voice is mixed around with, computer-y stuff. It does, I'm not saying it sounds like a computer, but I guess auto-tune might be the right word for it. And it sounds less than human, and I was not a fan of that at all. If you can tell by who's suddenly bursting out and being like, oh, but there are some, despite, this album's flaws, which are massive, there are some good tracks on there, like Colorful was okay. I think I remember liking Nicotine, Casual Affair. Those are probably my 3 favorite ones that weren't released until the album, so excluded. Miss Jackson and This Is Gospel are by far the best songs on the album. And This Is Gospel isn't even that great of a song. Miss Jackson's pretty good, though. But it doesn't sound like Panic! At the Disco. I played it to one of my friends. I played the song, and I'm like, hey, what do you think? She's like, yeah, it doesn't sound like Panic. Because it doesn't! I am panicking because it doesn't sound like Panic. I don't get it. Why? You, Panic! At the Disco, I know you're not watching this, but hypothetically, let's say you are. You are a good band. You make good music. So why did you come out with this? It's not a good album. It's got some good tracks, sure. But as an album, no, it really doesn't. I give it 2 out of 9 pig things. It's not that great. I don't know. I know I'm being very negative against the album. I just feel, I want to say, my final words. I feel like if instead of doing it so electronic sounding, if they released it, maybe even acoustic, no special features or whatever were added to it, it might be a great album. It really might have been. But it just... There's a dance beat, and I was not a fan. Miss Jackson, This Is Gospel Are Good Songs. There's an intro and an outro. I'm fans of that. Aside from that, yeah, 2 out of 9 pigs. Anyways, that's what I thought. Tell me what you thought of both this review and the album if you've heard it in the comments down below. And I recommend to anyone that's even a die-hard Panic at the Disco fan, if you want to go that far, just listen to the album before you buy it. That's my recommendation. You know, I don't want people to waste the, whatever, like $10. My name has been Daniel, still is, and you have been watching Music Time! I haven't done this in a while, give me a sec. Music Time! La 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 la, Music Time! La 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 la, Music Time! La 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 la, Music Time! That's worse than I remember, wow. Anyways, goodbye, I'll talk to you later.